Others have undergone medical checks after inhaling toxic fumes at the scene of a semi-trailer accident on the Barton Highway in Canberra early today. The trailer caught fire when it jackknifed near Sir William Slim Drive. The driver suffered minor injuries, but firemen, police and news crews covering the accident all inhaled poison fumes after some drums of chemical on the semi caught fire. Ray Veldry reports.
The accident happened at about 6 o'clock this morning when this semi-trailer jackknifed on the Barton Highway near Sir William Slim Drive. Almost immediately, it caught fire. Luckily for the driver, passing motorists were quickly on hand to pull him from the wreckage before the fire took complete control. The fire brigade was quickly on the scene along with police, and workmen began clearing the debris, including drums of chemical and tins of dog food. When the fire was almost extinguished, it was discovered that the drums contained toluene diisocyanate, a highly toxic substance. Immediately, everyone at the scene, including news crews from Capital 7 and the ABC, were told to go to hospital for medical examinations. Most of those who were badly affected by the poisonous gas complained of headaches, nausea and chest pains. At first it was thought that the drums contained more than toluene, but results of blood tests dispelled that fear. A spokesman for Calvary Hospital says 54 people in all were checked, and 3 firemen and our cameraman Alan Dent have been admitted for observation. The spokesman went on to say that no one will suffer any lasting ill effects from the inhalation. This afternoon, authorities began transporting the remains of the accident to an outlying dump where it'll be buried. The Transport Workers Union refused to drive the vehicles, and this responsibility was taken over by firemen. Late this afternoon, police issued a warning to anyone who may have picked up cans of dog food from the accident scene. They say the cans may be contaminated and that they should be taken to the nearest police station for disposal. The Department of the Capital Territory is also investigating whether the semi was carrying a chemical warning sign. Some sources at the scene have alleged that it wasn't.
The level of employment in Australia.
The accident happened about 6:30 this morning when a semi-trailer carrying dog food and a number of drums containing chemicals used in making fiberglass went out of control, slammed into a bridge and burst into flames. The Sydney man driving the truck wasn't injured, but 4 firemen and 3 workmen at the scene were taken to hospital by ambulance after the gas leaked from some drums ruptured in the accident. 47 others were later treated at the scene and at the nearby Calvary Hospital. An ABC news crew filming the accident was held in hospital for several hours after being affected by the gas. The southbound lanes of the highway were closed all day, and late this afternoon the burnt-out truck and the ruptured drums, some of them welded together by the intense heat, were covered with sand and taken to a special dumping area. The police in Canberra are still investigating the accident and say that reports will be drawn up on the carrying of dangerous goods in the ACT. Police today also issued a warning to anyone who might have picked up any of the hundreds of cans of dog food that were scattered in the accident, to take them immediately to the nearest police station as they could have been contaminated by the spilled chemicals. 4 of those affected by the gas have been kept in hospital overnight.
An exploding sign is believed to have caused
To which about 50 Canberra people were exposed in May this year has been blamed for the deaths of 2 men in Victoria. A report from the ACTU Occupational Health and Safety Unit claims that 2 workers at a polyurethane plant in Springvale in Victoria died as a result of exposure to high levels of fumes from the liquid toluene diisocyanate. Sally Clark reports.
The chemical TDI was spilt during a semi-trailer crash on the Barton Highway in May this year, and police, firemen, reporters and photographers were exposed to its vapours. More than 50 people underwent medical checks, and although several were kept in hospital overnight for observation, all were eventually cleared. However, an ABC cameraman now claims he's suffering from after effects of his exposure to the fumes. Austin Hughes says that about 8 weeks after the accident, he began having shaking fits and noticed a change in his personality, becoming short-tempered and lethargic. His doctor has told him the fumes couldn't leave such an after effect, but the cameraman says he knows of a fireman who suffered similar problems. The fireman is on annual leave and could not be contacted today. Mr. Hughes' symptoms seem to differ from those of the 2 Victorian workers. In both cases, the workers suffered from severe respiratory problems, which eventually caused their deaths. A reader in chemistry at the ANU, Ben Sillinger, says TDI has a toxic hazard rating of 3, which means it's capable of causing death or permanent injury after very short exposure to small quantities.
Well, according to the literature, it's a very severe irritant and can cause breathing and eye irritant problems. It's a hazard level 3, which makes it quite a dangerous chemical.
And long term?
Long-term effects are less well documented, but one always has to be aware that it has long-term effects as well. At least there should be some ordinance controlling the way in which it's transported and what precautions have to be taken in case of a spillage.
The Capital Territory Health Commission says it's had no complaints from the people exposed to the TDI fumes at the Barton Highway accident since they were discharged from hospital soon after the incident. It says if anyone is having problems, they should check with their local doctor.
Now, with the first of tonight's overseas reports, Laurie Wolf.
Firemen and workmen were treated for TDI exposure in Canberra in May this year after cleaning up after a truck accident. Dr McLeod said today anyone who felt they were suffering health problems as a result of this exposure should contact their doctor. However, as far as the Commission knew, there were no serious long-term effects of exposure to TDI. She said exposure to the chemical caused an asthma-like condition, and it could aggravate an existing condition, but there was no evidence to support the health unit's claims that it caused an allergic type of asthma. She said the Commission already had extensive information on the chemical and wouldn't be investigating the matter further. The Victorian report has struck another chord in the ACT, that of legislation covering the transport of hazardous chemicals on the ACT's roads. The Minister for the Capital Territory, Mr Hodgman, said today such legislation needed urgent consideration.